Welcome to Center Hice Productions. It's October 3rd, 2023. We're reviewing the October 2nd, 2023 game between the Habs visiting the Leafs, and it was a good game, uh, action-filled game. And we also have a side story. Just I meant to put it in the last episode on Alex Burrows and the power play, and I've seen a couple of others podcasts that reminded me that I wanted to talk about that. Anywho, could you please hit the likes and the subscribe in the right hand corner? It'd be muchly appreciated. Let's get 100 likes. Let's get the numbers up. I would really appreciate your support, helping us grow the channel. Okay, thank you very much. We're going to start off with the lineups. We had Cole Caulfield, Suzuki, and Josh Anderson was the third party on that line. Harvey Pinard, Doc, and Slavkovsky were the second line. Pearson, Monahan, and Galley were the third line. Heineman, Evans, and Yolonen were the fourth line. Our defensive pairings were Arbor, Jacki, Kosevich, and Norlinder and Savard, and Harris and Mailloux. And Allen was in net, backed up by Primo. Okay, so this was a very interesting game, and it ended up 5-4 in overtime for the Habs. A good comeback, good persistence by the Habs. I like seeing the resilience of the group. You could have thought this game was over because we always seem to be behind the eight ball, but they kept plugging. It just goes to show you, with a good work ethic and attitude, you can, if you just don't quit, you can prevail. You just got to be persistent in it. So anyway, it chalked up like this. Habs scored one goal in the first period. Leafs scored two in the first period. Habs and Leafs each got a goal in the second. There were two Habs goals in the third and one goal on the Leafs for the Leafs in the third, which brought us to a 4-4 tie, which made it one goal for us in overtime by the great Captain Nick Suzuki. So here we go. First star of the game was Kirby Dach, goal and assist. He had a +3 rating. Suzuki had a goal and 2 assists, +1 rating, and John Tavares was definitely the star. Although, like I say, you could see that that kid is something special for the Leafs, because that kid's involved in anything. He was a threat all night long. Okay, so the game starts off with Norlinder. This is a shocking story within itself, getting the first goal for the Habs on a power play. But this doesn't resolve the power play issues, even though it worked out for our goal finally. Norlinder assisted by Suzuki and Monahan, and it seems like that's always a good combination. Monahan seems to always get things started. But Leafs came right back with John Tavares, and I'm not even all that concerned with who assisted their goals, because I'm not a Leafs fan. Power play goal for them. But that was the third goal, sorry, because Gregor scored the second goal of the game. He tied the game, Gregor, assisted by Reeves. Then it was Tavares putting the goal-ahead goal. Then we went into the second period where Domi scored, assisted by Nylander. Doc came back with a goal, assisted again by Monahan and Kosevich, who had a really good, strong game. And that was a shorthanded goal, and it was very well done between Monahan and Doc. Like Monahan really faked. I think he really got Samson off the bite, making him think he would shoot, and over to Doc it went. Beautiful play. They got good chemistry there. Then we got to the third period, where John Tavares came up with another goal. Again, 2 assists from this Jerry kid, and Lafferty was the second assist on that. Then Kosevich, assisted by Jacki and Slavkovsky, gets us within a goal. And then Anderson with a nice goal. And that was a nice goal from Kosevich, a nice shot from the point. And that just was the reuniting of Jacki and Kosevich, and they belong together, in my opinion. So then we had Anderson, assisted by Doc and Suzuki. And there was a lot of magic coming from Doc. Doc had a great game. So did Suzuki. Had a pretty good game. Anderson, it just shows you the benefits of being on the first line and getting on the power play time as well with a nice cannon. And then we went into overtime where Suzuki, assisted by Caulfield and Harrison. And, Caulfield, okay, that first line had a good game. No doubt about it. It was pretty consistent. I would have to say HB, Doc, and Slav. Doc stood out. Slav, to me, did not have his strongest game in this one. He had moments. I still, and it's not a knock against him. I know this is tricky. However, think a year in Laval would do him good. I stay with that story. I think, and I don't think he's a write-off by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm not with the group that says he's a write-off. I think he's young, and his game is coming. You can see progression in his game, but just seeing the signs of that. He had very good moments. Don't get me wrong. He played hard at certain points in the game, but there's just the odd time. It's his leg speed, uh, his misjudgment when seeing two leads come into the zone, and ends up being a breakaway on Allen. And Allen didn't start off perfectly, but he sure recouped. And I have to say, Jake Allen has. This is now to me. I mean, there's 4 goals, but this was a loaded Leafs team. This is their full potential. So for us to keep up pace, scoring wise, and Jake Allen really played steady. This shows me why it is undecided who the starter is, and I haven't seen Montembeault's best game yet because all we've seen from all of them, like I could say, Primo was uh, almost showed better signs than those two, although not in the red and white. Just the odd showing he had. He had one showing, but we had kids that played better than all of them, like Dovish. But anyway, good showing from Allen last night. This puts the pressure on for who is the starter because his veteran experience really shined last night, and we get a couple of goals where I question certain things, and I find this to be with all the goaltenders. They go down automatically. They're always onto their knees, and of course, shots are going to be over their shoulder. This is where I have a problem with the flop. I call it. You could call it the butterfly. I don't. I think Patrick Roy kind of was the guy that, and Hasek mastered the butterfly. But this is more like a flop. There is a little difference in this where guys are not standing up long enough, whereas at least Roy and Hasek did. I find they're automatically wanting to go to their knees, and it's a problem in goaltending. That's why you do have to have a big goalie because they're always on their knees. I think this has to change in goaltending. However, that being said, great show for the Habs of resilience, of camaraderie. This game got nasty in the second period. There was a cheap shot uh, in the in the game, second period. Who was that on? I'm trying to think. I believe it was. Anyway, I forget who it was on. And it was a very. They bounced his head right off the boards. And actually, I believe it was Norlander, to be honest with you. No, 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 no. It was Mayu. It was Mayu. It was a cheap shot on Mayu. And it was, a dirty hit. And I got very upset because the referees and the league, this is the type of hit where the head bouncing off the board type of thing that I think, penalized. It should have been penalized, and it should have been heavily penalized. I think this is the type of hits that you should be tossed because it's a cheap shot. And there was a lot of fireworks. You had Kirby Doc involved. You had Jackeye got very involved, letting them know this you're not getting away with that. And then you could see Ryan Reeves on the bench. And you had to really wonder, okay, um, Jackeye is taking on a couple players from the Leafs, and is Ryan Reaves going to come out in another shift in the third period? This is what you were wondering. You were wondering if it was going to explode in the third period, and us get that scary match of Ryan Reaves and Jackeye, which I'm a little nervous of because although I know George Barak is saying there's big improvements in Jackeye's defense, and that would be good because he's going to need it if he ever drops the gloves with Reaves, because that man's a scary man when it comes to um, enforcers. He's definitely the top enforcer. But anyway, this was a very chippy game in the second period. There was a lot of scrums happening, and they were getting edgy. You could see the animosity building up. Some good work. I got to say though, I in the defense, Norlander's really surprising me, and I can see why they were giving him the extra look. His game from now to from compared to last year, it's this man has jumped levels ahead of where he was. So the AHL did him a lot of good. He's found his game, and now mind you, Mayu had a phenomenal game too. I got to say, and the best defenseman, however, I think Hice showed a great game. Arbor was good, no end of spots, but we expected a consistent game from Arbor. Um, Harris, the unsung hero, that guy just plays so steady. But for me, it was even though Norlander showed really good signs, Savard, and I know we need veterans. Savard's foot speed is becoming a serious problem. It's shown, since we've had him. Last night, it was just continual. He was beaten continually, and I like Savard because he'll block shots and stuff like that. And that's an area we got to up our game. We got to get into blocking shots more because when you look at the numbers, we got outshone again, and we've been outshone. The final shots were 29-26 for the Leafs. Hits were 31-25 for the Leafs. Face-offs, we did good in that department, 31-23. Power play goals, well, this is deceiving because we finally got a power play goal out of 3 chances. They got 1 for 5. They did poorly on it. Penalty minutes, we took too many penalties, 12 minutes, 8 minutes for them because Arbor got an extra penalty, which I didn't agree with because that was again the hit on Mayu there should have been something results from it because it was it's what the league's trying to get rid of, and it was just overlooked. The referees, I do not know when it's going to come when this league tosses these referees out the door and bring in some guys and train them properly because and it works on both sides of the game, for both teams in a lot of games. However, there's so many bad calls being made. There's more bad calls and inconsistencies than there is a proper, well-refed game. We just don't see well-refed games anymore, and this has got to change. This is something Bettman needs to look at. And so takeaways. The Habs had 2 takeaways. The Leafs had 8 giveaways. We gave up the puck 5 times. They gave it up more than us 7 times. Block shots. This is where they beat us 12-9. Okay, so with that being said, great comeback. Like I said, the Leafs pretty much were in charge of this game, scoring wise for the majority of it. This was a good game, though. However, I've seen good signs from, that I can see this if Josh Anderson stays focused, that line could work. So, I honestly see it as being Newhook at opening night in that slot. But Josh Anderson could easily come into that role as well. It's up to Josh Anderson whether he can play consistent. And I think, I'm getting tired of people saying waste Kirby Dach in that spot. I happen to agree with management and St. Louis. You can't waste that. You got to balance out your power, and he's got a good opportunity to become a good center, where he may even at some point pass Suzuki and become the top center. He had a phenomenal night, and he always puts in a strong effort and a strong game. So I wouldn't be surprised because I'm expecting this kid's career. It showed last year changed from leaving Chicago, and I expect even more to happen. And I see a consistent game with him, and it's a nice, refreshing change because the Habs are giving him opportunities. Line three was okay. Pearson played a good game. Monahan, well, he's always, he gets everything started. I love Monahan, and amazing that he got a lot of ice time for being on the third line. Galley played all right. I guess we all just have more expectations from him. Although he did come back and make a few very nice defensive plays, which he definitely caught up to the extra man, which was nice to see coming back. So that part of his game was good. I just think overall there's a lot of what he had missing, and I think it's due to breakdown of the body. I just don't think he's able to play that way anymore. Then we had Heineman, Evans, and Yolonen. And to me, Heineman had a phenomenal game. He might not have scored, but he had a good, really solid game. He showed up. Yolonen had an all right game. Yeah. No doubt Heineman was the better of the two by far on that line. Heineman was the real strength on that line. Yolonen was good. Evans, I think it's time, and I hate to say it. Evans is showing me you can't waste a spot on him anymore. Like Yoel Armia, and I will reiterate it. It's time for him to move on. He wasn't impressive, and I can honestly see I honestly would keep these two kids up in Montreal, Heineman and Yolonen. I think they deserve it. Um, I think the defense is going to be a tricky situation because Norlinder and Mailloux are both making the case that maybe they're a better choice than Barron. So this could be a little bit of a dogfight. Barron played all right, but these two are really putting in. I didn't expect Norlinder to be in this conversation. He's showing some good things, but I think we got to unload David Savard trade deadline. And if the Habs are adamant about having a veteran, go for it. But you got to get somebody with better foot speed than that. I'm sorry, it's costing us, and it's costing us. I watched this game very closely, and anytime that pairing was on the ice, and it was more so Savard who was getting outskated and couldn't keep up with his man. Delayed reactions in front of the net. There was a goal in front of the net where he easily should have had the man taken out. He responded far too late, and it was on him. And by the time he responded, the puck was in the net, and he's just moving his stick then. He's got a lot of heart, never knock him for that, but I honestly say he's hindering the Habs defensively more than he's helping them. And I'm sorry to say that. And yes, I am full aware as, you know, being playing hockey and coaching it, they will probably need a veteran type, but maybe as these kids grow too. But it's still good to have a veteran there, I know, even if he's the extra guy. But you got to get somebody with more foot speed than David Savard. So if I was Montreal, trade deadline, I'm unloading him because he's killing us. He's a nice guy, and I like Savard, but it's not working out. It really isn't. He can't keep up with his defense partners, and it's costing us. And I love Harris. Anybody talking about Harris being traded, you got to get your top pick in mind. This guy is so steady, and you don't hear him goofing it up. He is so consistent. Mailloux had a really strong game, whereas I've been saying I still think he needs to go to Laval. He is making a case for himself. There's no doubt about it because he's bringing different aspects, and I like his aggressiveness. And Norlinder's just shocking us all. So with that being said, great game. We showed resilience, but that Nyes kid and Tavares and Leaf fans, how you can go and attack your captain Tavares, because I'll tell you what, he outplays Matthews 9 times out of 10. Matthews, yes, we not knocking him as a goal scorer when he's season-wise. Hart, yeah, thanks. He's not there. So sorry to say this, but for me, you guys really need to shake your head as Leafs fans, because your captain's been your best player all of these years. He might not have the goal scoring numbers that you want, This guy puts 100% in and plays a good, solid two-way game. So you guys need to wake up. I wish we would have had Tavares. Unfortunately, he wanted to be a Leaf, and that's where it ends. And you guys got the problem of your 4 overpaid players, don't you? Which is going to come to haunt you. This is probably going to be your last year with your opportunity with those 4 in the lineup. So with that being said, it was a good, strong showing. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but for me, Evans and Armia would be out. I'd even waive them if you had to. If you can't trade them, waive them. But I think Heineman and Yolonen got to stay in this lineup. And I think Yolonen could easily slot in to Evans's center position. That way you get Pizzetta in there as well. But I tell you, even Pizzetta's got something to worry about because his last game performance wasn't all that. And it shows at the time it is going to be of essence for Pizzetta. This may be Pizzetta's last year. I hate to say it. And that's only because we got guys like Waugh coming. And Juan Davidson, what we've seen out of them in this rookie camp, they're easily going to take that spot from Pizzetta. So Pizzetta better hold on this year because I don't know if he can be there next year. But to me, I would not let these two walk away, Malone and Heineman. I think they're a good addition to the team, and it's only going to get better when they're used to their teammates. There's a lot of upside. There was a few bullets that Heineman got off that were just incredible. Once he's used to his line mates, he's going to be deadly because he's a threat. When he fires that puck, he's got such an accurate, hard shot. He's a threat. And Yolonen's got a good defensive mindset, IQ-wise, but he had a little weaker game for himself last night. But it wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. But he usually plays a little better than that. It's just a hiccup here and there. And like I said, Kasevich played a phenomenal game. He shows why he's in this roster. Over Lidstrom and over Marin, easily. There's no and ifs and buts. So anybody questioning Kasevich, you're full of you're God in your mind. Maybe down the road, when Reinbacker's ready to come into the league and Hudson, maybe then you might have to debate it. I mean, he still could be a good seventh defenseman, but for now, I can see him easily being in this lineup this year for sure, and maybe next year. But phenomenal game. He's a good hockey player. He puts everything into it. He's now up to pace. The rust is off. And Harris was probably the most consistent defenseman we had right from the beginning of camp. So, and Arbor played a good game, and I like his. You can't take away what Arbor brings to this team because you've seen when the nonsense started, he sent the message. We got to have that. We haven't had it for a while. And he's so valuable that way. Jake Allen really did get back in the groove and really held the fort to give us a chance to keep coming back. So I don't think we would have had the same results with Montembeault or Primo. So we got a big question mark. Who's going to be the starter this year? I really don't know. It's between those two, and I don't know what's going to happen with Primo. Do you keep a third goaltender, or do you just let him walk on waivers? Or maybe he doesn't get picked up. Anyway, that being said, now we go into the Alex Burrows thing. And for this has been a pet peeve of mine for a long since Alex Burrows has been here. And I've tried to be patient with this situation. It's done. He's a nice guy. He's not cut out to be a power play guy just because we finally scored a power play goal. We've had too many chances on power plays where they're wasted. He cannot get, and we've had a lot of personnel change. So it's not the personnel, it's the plan. The plan he's got in procedure is not working. It doesn't work at this level. So enough. I know Martin St. Louis is Mr. Nice Guy. This is where I say Hughes and Gordon have to overstep and say, we love you, Marty, but we're firing him. He's got to go. And he's in his last year of contract. I'm sorry. Even if you got to pay that little bit, he's got to walk. You have to get this power play. This has got to be the mandatory thing. That power play penalty kill, especially the power play though. Penalty kill's half decent. Now it's coming in the right direction. Power play, we have to get this. These are the things we need the culture to have changed. You need to find a power play guy. Uh, there's many guys that could do this, take this role. I mean, like I said, I can even Kirk Muller, when we fired him, had better numbers than Burrows. Imagine what he could do with these kids. Just saying. Just saying. And then, you got guys like Carbonneau floating around that are willing to come. Just saying. So, what are we doing? I don't get it. I don't care what the argument is anymore. Though there must be something there. I'm not saying he's not got some smarts. I'm saying he's not meant for power plays. And if that's his role, then they gave him the wrong chair in this. And it's too late. It's too late to readjust that. You need a power play guy that focuses on that so the coach can focus on everything. I know Marty would be perfect if he was just a power play guy. But however, we need somebody that does take that role, that knows the power play well. Just because Burrows had the luxury of being with the Sundins. That was a luxury. But I'll tell you, as far as what he's coaching, he's had plenty of years now to have fixed the issues with the power play. If anything, it's been at a stalemate forever. You've got some talent that has walked through here that there's no reason that you shouldn't be popping some goals. And now that you got a lot more mobility, you got some threats from the point now. I love that Arbor-Jack and Kasevich. They always just put the puck on the net. And the Norlander's doing that now too, and it's just wonderful to see. Mayu just fires his cannon. So, and this is what I'm saying. We have guys from the point firing. So for Burrows to be excused, no, we can't. That sends a different message to the players too. You let a guy who's underachieving and underperforming in his duty, his role. What message is that sending? You can coach the power play like crap and stick around because he's a nice guy. No, it's done. It's over. And I love Marty. I just think Marty's too nice of a guy. I think this is where Hughes has to say, Marty, step aside. This is my call. I'm done with it. I've watched it too long now. It hasn't been fixed. We need to really get a power play specialist here that can deal with this. And I honestly, I'd love to see somebody like Carbonneau, just because Carbonneau was always involved. Major penalty killer, we know that. And his circle numbers were beyond whereas I think if he was in that role, he could help our centers immensely. And, he played the power play a lot too in Montreal because Guy Carbonneau had a good offensive side to him. Kid yourself not. When he started with us, he was more of a goal scorer than he was a defense specialist. We allowed Gainey to convert him and become the two-way player he was, a defense specialist. But to me, you got to get somebody of that caliber that knows what they're doing, and they could actually be addressing the center role. Like you want Kirby Doc to succeed at center, get somebody like Carbonneau who has the history in that role, and I guarantee you'll see our numbers climb way up in the face-off circle. Next thing, like I said, I think we got to wake up. I like Jake Evans. He just was nonchalant last night, like he was taking a walk in the park. His play wasn't up to snuff. So I say, with that being said, you got to unload Evans. You got to do something with Armia. I don't care if you put him on waivers, Laval, trade Evans to a team. If Edmonton's still interested, do it. You've got to hold on to Heineman, and you'll own it. You can't. These kids are going to be a good addition along with Harvey Pinard, and I can honestly say that we'll soon have more problems because Waugh's going to crack that line up very, very near future. And just like Beck, but I'm surprised that Beck got sent to the juniors. I think he should have been put in Laval. Anyway, that's their call. They're the experts. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Please hit the likes and subscribes. We really appreciate your support, and if you could pass it on. And where's puck drop first? Here at Center Ice.